chosen one. Pause for a moment and listen closely, because something in the unseen has just shifted around your life. This is not an ordinary moment, and the fact that you are hearing these words right now is not coincidence. Heaven has a way of interrupting the ordinary when justice is about to rise. Anointed One, there are forces that believed they had succeeded in draining you. People, systems, and hidden resistance thought the story had already been written against you. They believed what they took from you would remain theirs, that the silence around your loss meant the matter was closed. But heaven does not forget what was done in secret. Chosen One. The God who sees every quiet injustice has been watching patiently, not with indifference, but with precision. What looked like delay was actually preparation. As it is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a time for every purpose under heaven, and the season where your enemies appeared untouchable is quietly reaching its end. You endured betrayal without losing your integrity. You carried loss without surrendering your faith. And that endurance has activated something in the spiritual realm that can no longer remain hidden. If this message resonates with your spirit, consider subscribing so you do not miss the words meant for your next season. Because what you are about to hear will reveal why the injustice you endured is now turning into divine justice. Chosen One, listen carefully, because something is shifting in the unseen, even as these words reach you. What you endured was never invisible to heaven, even when it seemed invisible to everyone else. There were moments when the injustice felt unbearable, when you watched people benefit from what you built, when you saw doors open for those who had quietly taken from your effort, your loyalty, your creativity, even your trust. And in those moments, it may have felt like the story had already been decided against you. But the truth is far deeper than what your eyes could see at the time. Heaven was not ignoring what happened. Heaven was documenting it. I want you to understand this clearly, Chosen One, because this is where many people lose faith. When the consequences do not arrive quickly, the mind assumes there will be no consequences at all. Silence feels like approval. Delay feels like defeat. But heaven does not operate by the clock of human impatience. There is a divine order that governs justice, and that order moves with precision. What looked like silence around your life was actually the quiet preparation of a courtroom you could not see. Evidence was being gathered, patterns were being revealed, motives were being exposed in a realm where excuses cannot survive. Some of you remember the exact season when things shifted. The moment when you realized something had been taken from you. Maybe it was a business idea you shared with someone you trusted. Maybe it was a promotion that should have been yours but quietly went to someone who borrowed your work. Maybe it was a relationship where your loyalty was used as leverage while your kindness was mistaken for weakness. Whatever form it took, the loss did not only affect your circumstances, it touched something deeper. It stole time. It interrupted momentum. It planted questions inside your spirit that took years to untangle. And if we are honest for a moment, Chosen One, those questions were not small. There were nights when you replayed conversations in your mind, wondering if you had been too generous, too patient, too trusting. You asked God quietly, sometimes in frustration, and sometimes in exhaustion. Did I miss something? Did I misunderstand what you asked me to do? Those questions did not come from foolishness. They came from integrity, trying to understand injustice. People who carry a clean heart often struggle the most when they encounter calculated behavior, because manipulation is foreign to a spirit that prefers honesty. But here is what heaven understood, even when you could not see it clearly. What was taken from you was not just material opportunity. It was connected to something spiritual. There are people who can tolerate your presence when your influence is small, but they become deeply uncomfortable when your clarity begins to grow. They are comfortable benefiting from your ideas, your labor, your energy, as long as you remain within a boundary that keeps them in control. The moment your vision begins to expand, resistance appears. Not because you changed, but because the light you carry begins to expose things that others hoped would remain hidden. Chosen one. The tension you experienced was never really about competition. It was about exposure. When someone carries an anointing that naturally reveals shortcuts, laziness, manipulation, and false authority, it disrupts environments that were built on those very things. And often you do not even need to say anything for that disruption to begin. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. Your integrity becomes a mirror that others do not always want to look into. That is why some people steal rather than build. Because building requires patience and discipline, theft requires only proximity. I know what this looks like because I have walked through a season like this myself. There was a time when something I worked on quietly for years began to grow. It was not flashy, it was not loud, but it carried purpose. And somewhere along the way, someone who had access to that work decided to move ahead using pieces of what had been shared in confidence. On the surface, everything looked professional. Polite conversations, formal agreements, smiles in public. But beneath that surface, something did not sit right in my spirit. It felt like watching a story you helped write being performed on a stage where your name had quietly been removed. For a long time, nothing happened. No exposure, no correction, no apology. And I remember thinking maybe I misunderstood the whole situation. Maybe I should just move on and forget it. But what I did not understand then was something I understand very clearly now. When something touches what God has marked for a purpose, the matter does not remain between people. It becomes a matter between heaven and the actions that took place. And heaven does not rush its response because heaven is not reacting emotionally. Heaven is establishing order. There is a spiritual law that cannot be negotiated away. When someone interferes with what was assigned to you by God, they do not enter a rivalry with you. They enter a case with heaven. That case may take time to unfold, because heaven allows patterns to reveal themselves fully. Sometimes people are allowed to rise higher than they should have, only so that the fall will be unmistakable and final. Not dramatic. Final. Ordered. I have seen situations where someone seemed unstoppable for years, only for everything to shift within a matter of months once the time of exposure arrived. This is why what is happening around your life now may feel subtle at first. It may not look like chaos or revenge. In fact, it will likely feel strangely calm. Doors that were once sealed begin to open without struggle. Conversations that excluded your name suddenly include it again. People who once blocked your progress quietly move out of the way. Systems that looked immovable begin to restructure themselves in ways you could never have forced on your own. And when these things happen, you will notice something unusual inside your spirit. There will be peace. That peace will be the confirmation that the shift is not coming from your effort. It is coming from alignment. What was built on deception cannot sustain itself once truth begins to move through the structure. The foundation begins to weaken from within. The support that held it together slowly disappears, and the same trap that was designed for you begins to collapse under the weight of the one who created it. Chosen one. This is why you were never meant to retaliate. There were moments when you probably could have spoken out, defended yourself, exposed certain things publicly, but something inside your spirit held you back. That restraint felt costly at the time. It felt like silence was allowing injustice to continue. But that restraint protected something far greater. It preserved the legal ground heaven needed to act fully on your behalf. And what is unfolding now is not a simple exchange. This is not about something small being returned. This is restoration with interest. Because when heaven restores what was taken, it does not only return the object, it restores position, it restores influence, it restores voice. And sometimes it opens doors that would have never existed if the original loss had not forced you into a deeper alignment. The most important thing for you to understand right now, chosen one, is that this moment is not about revenge. It is about order. Heaven is not elevating you to embarrass anyone. Heaven is elevating you to establish something that cannot be manipulated again. A table is being prepared in your life, not for spectacle, but for witness. And the people who once misunderstood your silence will begin to realize that what they interpreted as weakness was actually maturity, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. And as this shift begins to unfold around you, there is something heaven is watching even more closely than the outcome itself. It is watching how you carry what comes next. Because justice is only the beginning of what God is about to do in your life. Chosen one. There is something heaven wants you to understand before the next stage of this unfolding becomes visible in your life. Justice may be arriving, alignment may be shifting, and restoration may already be moving quietly in your direction. But the most important test is not the downfall of those who wronged you. The most important test is the condition of your heart when the balance begins to change. Many people believe that vindication gives them permission to harden. They think that once justice appears, bitterness becomes justified and pride becomes acceptable. But the path of the anointed does not work that way. Heaven never restores someone simply to prove a point. Heaven restores someone to establish a new order. And that order requires character that has already been tested under pressure. Chosen one. The reason heaven can trust you with what is coming is not because you were perfect through the process. It is because you learned restraint while you were wounded. You learned how to remain clean in environments that were not clean. You learned how to hold your integrity even when people around you chose shortcuts. That kind of endurance is rare. Many people collapse under that kind of pressure. Others compromise just to survive the moment. But you stayed. And sometimes staying felt like standing still while everyone else seemed to move ahead. There were seasons where it looked like the people who cut corners were advancing faster than the people who chose integrity. That can shake a person's faith if they do not understand how divine timing works, because in the short term, manipulation can look like success. Deception can look like acceleration. But what grows quickly without foundation eventually collapses under its own weight. Chosen one. The delay you experienced was not because heaven forgot you. The delay was preparation. There are things that God cannot release into your hands until your spirit is strong enough to carry them without becoming what once wounded you. Authority is not given lightly. It is formed through endurance, humility, and obedience in moments where obedience feels invisible. Some of you remember the exact moment when something inside you changed. You stopped trying to convince people to understand you. You stopped chasing explanations from those who had already chosen their narrative. You stopped replaying the same conversations in your mind, trying to repair something that was never meant to continue. And in that moment, something powerful began to happen. When striving ended, alignment began. There is a sacred moment that comes after injustice when the soul becomes tired of asking questions, not angry anymore, not desperate for answers, just quietly finished with carrying a weight that was never yours to hold. That moment may feel like surrender, but it is actually the beginning of authority. Because when you stop fighting battles that belong to heaven, heaven finally has room to move fully on your behalf. I remember reaching that point in my own journey. There was a season when I spent months trying to correct misunderstandings about something that had happened in my life. I explained myself over and over again, hoping that if people understood the truth, things would change. But the more I explained, the more exhausted I became. Eventually, I realized something important. Not every narrative needs to be corrected by your voice. Some narratives collapse naturally when time reveals what words cannot fix. When I finally stopped defending myself, something unexpected happened. The same people who had ignored my voice began asking questions months later. Situations that once looked closed started opening again without my involvement. Doors that had been shut by human authority quietly unlocked themselves. And I realized something in that moment that I want you to remember today, chosen one. When God decides to reposition you, He does not need your effort to force the outcome. He only needs your alignment. That is what is beginning to happen around your life now. The shift may not look dramatic at first. It may appear as subtle changes in conversations, attitudes, or opportunities. Someone who once dismissed your ideas suddenly listens more carefully. A door that seemed permanently closed suddenly opens with no resistance. An opportunity appears that carries peace instead of pressure. These are not coincidences. These are signals that the atmosphere around your name is changing. And there is another sign that this shift has already begun. It is happening inside you. The grip that past injustice had on your mind is loosening. You are thinking more clearly. You are reacting less emotionally. Situations that once triggered frustration now pass through your spirit without controlling it. That is not detachment. That is healing. Your internal world is stabilizing, and when your internal world stabilizes, your discernment becomes sharper. Chosen one, restoration does not always return things in the exact form they were lost. Sometimes God allows certain doors to remain closed because those environments were part of the harm you experienced. Real restoration is not about returning you to the same place that wounded you. It is about repositioning you in a place where the same harm cannot follow. This is why some relationships from the past will not be restored. Some environments will remain behind you permanently. And that is not punishment. That is protection. The people who benefited from your generosity without honoring your boundaries believed that your patience meant permission. They assumed that because there was no immediate consequence, there would be no consequence at all. But heaven moves differently. When God begins to restore order, He does not announce it to the guilty. He announces it to the aligned. And that is why this message reached you today. Because you are being prepared for the moment when what belongs to you begins to return. Chosen one. As restoration begins to unfold around your life, there is a layer of this process that many people overlook. It is not just about what is returning to you, it is about what is awakening inside you. Because whenever heaven restores what was taken, it also restores something deeper that betrayal once tried to dull discernment. You may have already started noticing this shift. Situations that once confused you now feel clear. Conversations that once drained your energy now reveal themselves quickly. You can sense the difference between alignment and distraction in ways you could not before. That is not coincidence. That is wisdom being rebuilt inside your spirit. Pain, when processed honestly, leaves behind something powerful. It leaves awareness. And awareness is one of the greatest forms of protection heaven gives to those who have endured loss without becoming bitter. Chosen one. You are no longer operating from innocence the way you once did. You are operating from understanding. There was a time when you believed endurance alone would fix everything. You stayed longer than you should have in environments that did not honor your presence. You kept giving your energy to people who benefited from your generosity, but never respected your boundaries. You tried to repair systems that quietly depended on your silence to continue functioning, but heaven has been teaching you something through that entire season. Faithfulness does not mean tolerating misalignment. Faithfulness includes stewardship of your own soul. I learned this lesson in a season when I believed that staying quiet was humility. I thought that if I endured long enough, things would eventually correct themselves. But what I eventually realized was this: sometimes silence is not humility. Sometimes it is fear of disrupting something that no longer deserves your loyalty. And God does not measure success by how long you tolerate what drains you. He measures it by how clearly you respond when alignment shifts. Chosen one. Alignment has shifted for you. That is why you feel less pressure to explain yourself, less desire to convince people who have already chosen not to understand, less willingness to negotiate your worth, just to maintain peace in places that require you to shrink. This is not arrogance. This is authority settling into your spirit. Authority rarely arrives with noise. It arrives quietly. It simply takes up space without apology. And as that authority grows inside you, some people around you will begin to feel uncomfortable. Not because you became cold, but because the access they once had no longer exists. Your clarity removes leverage. Your peace removes control. Your silence removes manipulation. And when those dynamics disappear, the people who once relied on them feel the shift immediately. But their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to honor the discernment heaven has rebuilt within you. There is another quiet change happening beneath the surface as well, chosen one. The shame that once tried to attach itself to your loss is dissolving. Shame always whispers the same lie. It says that if something was taken from you, you must have deserved it. That if someone bypassed you, you must not have been enough. That if you were mistreated, you must have misunderstood something along the way. But shame collapses the moment truth enters the room. And truth is rising in your life now. What happened to you did not define your future. It refined your discernment. It revealed where your compassion belonged and where it was being exploited. It showed you the difference between patience and permission. This is why heaven can trust you with more now. Not because you became harder, but because you became clearer. Not because you stopped caring about people, but because you learned where your care must be protected. There is a powerful internal transition taking place inside you right now. You are moving from survival thinking into stewardship thinking. Survival asks one question: how do I protect myself? Stewardship asks a very different question: what am I responsible for carrying? And that shift changes everything. Because what is returning to your life will not require constant defense. It will require intentional care. Chosen one. Every night you wrestled with doubt, every moment you resisted bitterness, every time you chose restraint instead of retaliation. Those were not passive moments. Those were investments. And now those investments are beginning to produce a return. Sometimes that return will appear quietly. Sometimes restoration does not look like dramatic victory. Sometimes it looks like stability after chaos. Sometimes it looks like consistency replacing unpredictability. Sometimes it looks like waking up in the morning without bracing yourself for the next loss. Do not underestimate those moments. They are evidence that the atmosphere around your life has already changed, and what is coming next will require you to receive it without fear. Chosen one. As you step deeper into this new season, there is something heaven wants you to release completely. It is the fear of hoping again. Many people who have endured betrayal carry an invisible hesitation in their spirit. Even when good things begin to appear, a quiet voice whispers, "Be careful, this could be taken too." That reaction is understandable. When something has been stolen from you, once the heart naturally tries to guard itself against feeling that loss again. But listen carefully, anointed one. Guarding your wisdom is not the same as closing your heart. The next chapter of your life cannot be built with clenched hands. It must be built with discernment. Discernment allows you to remain open without becoming vulnerable to the same patterns that once wounded you. This is why you may notice something changing in the way opportunities appear around you. In the past, decisions may have felt rushed. Pressure surrounded every step. There was always an urgency that pushed you to act quickly before the door closed. But what is coming now will feel different. Alignment does not rush you. Peace does not pressure you. When something is truly ordered by heaven, it arrives with clarity rather than confusion. If an opportunity requires you to compromise your values, it is not restoration. If it demands secrecy or manipulation to succeed, it is not alignment. What belongs to you will not require you to betray who you are in order to access it. That is one of the clearest signs that the atmosphere around your life is changing. The next doors will open in a way that allows your integrity to remain intact. You may also notice your prayers beginning to shift. In the past, many of your prayers were about fixing situations that had broken your trust. You asked God to repair relationships, correct misunderstandings, or return things that had been taken. But now, something deeper is happening in your spirit. You are no longer asking heaven to fix everything. You are asking heaven to order it. That change may sound small, but it is powerful. Fixing implies that something is broken beyond recognition. Ordering implies authority. And the truth is, chosen one, you were never broken in the way the enemy hoped you would be. You were being repositioned. There may still be moments when you feel tempted to look back and measure how far others have fallen since the season of injustice. But resist that urge. The old chapter was built on comparison, misunderstanding, and quiet competition. The new chapter requires focus. What matters now is not what happened behind you, but what is being prepared ahead of you. You are not being restored to prove anyone wrong. You are being restored to fulfill what was delayed. When that fulfillment begins to unfold, it will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. And as you move forward, chosen one, remember something important. Let your heart stay soft, even while your boundaries remain strong. Let your trust be guided by wisdom, not controlled by fear. The strength you carry now is different from the strength you had before the loss. Before, your strength was endurance. Now your strength is discernment. You know the difference between opportunity and distraction. You recognize the difference between peace and pressure. And that awareness will protect what heaven is returning to your life. Take a moment and breathe. Chosen one. Feel the steadiness that is beginning to replace the tension you carried for so long. That steadiness is not temporary. It is the foundation being laid for everything that comes next. Chosen one. There is a sacred responsibility that comes with restoration, and it is something few people speak about openly. When heaven returns what was stolen, it does not only restore opportunity or position, it restores choice. And that choice carries weight. In the last season of your life, many decisions were made under pressure. You were reacting, adjusting, surviving situations that demanded more energy than they ever returned. But the next season will not operate under that same tension. The urgency that once surrounded your life is beginning to dissolve, and in its place, heaven is giving you something far more powerful: discernment in calm conditions. You already know how to endure pressure. You proved that. You learned how to stand when things felt unfair, when doors closed without explanation, when people misrepresented your intentions. But now you are entering a season that will require a different kind of strength. Not the strength to survive storms, but the wisdom to steward peace. There is a difference between being protected and being prepared. Protection keeps harm away. Preparation teaches you how to carry increase without inviting harm back into your life. And preparation is what heaven is doing with you now. Some of the doors that are opening around you may look familiar. They may resemble opportunities you once prayed for, or chances you once lost. But if you pay attention closely, you will notice something important. These new doors do not carry desperation. There is no fear pushing you to accept quickly. No pressure telling you that if you hesitate, you will miss your chance. That absence of pressure is one of the clearest signs of alignment. When something is truly meant for you, it does not demand urgency to survive. It invites clarity. Alignment anchors you. It does not rush you. And as this process unfolds, you may notice an internal shift happening quietly within your spirit. You're becoming less reactive and more responsive. Situations that once would have triggered anxiety no longer pull the same emotional weight. Your decisions are beginning to come from a place of calm discernment rather than urgency. That shift is not accidental. Chosen one. Authority always begins internally before it manifests externally. I have seen what happens when restoration arrives before this internal shift takes place. The blessing may be real, but the person receiving it is not ready to carry its weight. They repeat the same patterns, they allow the same kinds of people access, and eventually the same cycle begins again. But heaven spared you from that. What once felt like delay was actually insulation. God was protecting the version of you that would eventually carry this next season without collapsing under its responsibility. There may be moments where you feel tempted to explain everything that happened in the past, to tell people the truth about the injustice you endured, to correct narratives that were formed without your voice. And there is nothing wrong with truth. But remember this, not all truth needs to be spoken by you. Sometimes truth reveals itself through time. Sometimes it becomes visible through alignment, and sometimes the outcome itself tells the story that words never could. Chosen one, you no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. Your consistency will reveal it. Your stability will confirm it. Your peace will make it undeniable. Another thing you may notice in this season is that your tolerance for disorder is decreasing. Environments that once felt normal may now feel draining. Conversations that revolve around confusion or manipulation will become harder for you to entertain. This is not rigidity, it is clarity. And clarity is necessary for stewardship. The next level of your life may actually require fewer people, fewer commitments, and fewer distractions than the last one did. Expansion does not always add more. Sometimes, expansion subtracts what no longer belongs. That is how space is created for what heaven is placing into your hands next. And as this clarity grows, chosen one, you will begin to understand something powerful. Restoration is not only about receiving again, it is also about choosing wisely what you allow to remain. Unchosen one, as restoration continues to unfold, another truth begins to surface quietly in your life. Restoration is not only about receiving what was lost, it is about learning how to select what belongs in your future. Many people believe that the moment justice arrives, everything automatically falls into place. But heaven understands something deeper. When increase returns to a person's life, it attracts attention. And not all attention is aligned. You may begin to notice this shift sooner than you expect. People who once overlooked you may suddenly show interest again. Conversations that never included your name may begin to circle back around. Opportunities that once felt distant may start appearing within reach. At first, it can feel exciting, even surprising. But this is exactly where discernment becomes essential. Restoration is not just about receiving, it is about choosing. Who hears your ideas before they are fully formed? Who sees your plans before they are complete? Who has access to your time when your time begins to carry greater value? These questions may seem simple, but they shape the sustainability of everything heaven is restoring in your life. Chosen one. Heaven is not only returning opportunities to you. Heaven is restoring the discernment that betrayal once dulled. You are seeing things more clearly now than you ever have before. Trust that clarity. Do not override it simply to be polite or to maintain comfort with people who benefited from the older version of you. And there will be moments when emotions from the past still surface. Even as restoration begins, you may find yourself grieving certain things that were lost. That grief is not weakness. Loss leaves an imprint. Healing does not erase the memory of what happened. It changes the meaning attached to it. Allow yourself to feel those moments without assuming they are signs of doubt. You are not conflicted, you are human. What matters is that you do not allow those memories to dictate how you receive what is coming next. Chosen one, you are no longer operating from scarcity. The old mindset said you must chase every opportunity because nothing is guaranteed. But the new season operates differently. You are learning to recognize that what truly belongs to you will align with you. It will not require you to compete, to rush, or to exhaust yourself trying to prove your worth. True restoration carries peace. You may notice that peace appearing in unexpected ways. Your body feels calmer. Your reactions slow down. Situations that once created tension no longer control your thoughts the way they used to. That calm is not emotional numbness. It is safety returning to your spirit. Safety is something many people try to earn through control. But real safety comes when trust is rebuilt internally, and heaven has been rebuilding that trust within you through every season you endured. You may also notice your relationship with prayer beginning to change. In the past, your prayers may have carried urgency, asking God to intervene, to repair situations that felt broken beyond recognition. But now your prayers may feel quieter, more attentive, less about asking for immediate solutions and more about listening for direction. That shift is powerful. Listening positions you to receive wisdom, not just relief. And wisdom is what sustains restoration long after the moment of breakthrough passes. Chosen one, you are not the same person who entered the season of loss. The experiences you walked through shaped your awareness, strengthened your faith, and deepened your understanding of alignment. You are clearer now, more grounded, more capable of carrying the responsibility that comes with increase. And because of that transformation, what is returning to your life now has the potential to remain. Do not rush this season. Do not test it by forcing outcomes or trying to accelerate what heaven is already arranging with precision. Timing matters. Alignment matters. And the truth is, chosen one, you are not late. You are exactly where heaven intended you to be. take a breath and feel the steadiness forming inside you. That steadiness is not fragile. It is the foundation upon which the next chapter of your life will be built. Chosen one. As this restoration settles more deeply into your life, something powerful begins to form within you. It is not loud. It does not demand attention, but it changes the way you carry yourself, the way you make decisions, and the way you move through the world. It is a quiet confidence that comes from surviving what was meant to break you. This confidence is different from the kind that comes from quick success or temporary recognition. It is not built on applause. It is built on endurance. It is built on the nights when you kept moving forward, even when nothing around you seemed to change. It is built on the moments when you chose integrity, even when compromise would have been easier. Chosen. 1. You did not just survive a difficult season. You came through it without losing your character. That matters more than you may realize, because the next stage of your life will require inner stability far more than outer strength. Many people think wealth or success is simply about accumulation. They imagine it as gathering more resources, more influence, more recognition. But heaven sees increase differently. Heaven sees wealth as flow. It is the circulation of ideas, opportunities, relationships, and resources moving through a life that has been prepared to carry them responsibly. What you resisted in the last season was stagnation. The enemy hoped that discouragement would trap you in place, that frustration would cause you to abandon your purpose. But you kept moving even if the movement was slow. And because you kept moving, the flow has not stopped. Chosen one, you are a clean channel. And that is why the pruning you experienced was necessary. Pruning never feels comfortable. When branches are cut back, it can look like loss. It can feel like something valuable has been taken away. But pruning is never punishment. It is preparation for fruit that can be sustained. Without pruning, growth becomes unstable. With pruning, roots deepen, and the structure becomes strong enough to hold what is coming next. You may have already noticed another quiet change happening inside you. Situations that once triggered strong emotional reactions now pass through your mind with less intensity. Conversations that once caused frustration now feel distant, almost as if they belong to another chapter of your life. That is not avoidance, that is healing. Healing changes how memory behaves. The past may still exist, but it no longer controls your reactions. Your nervous system is beginning to stabilize again, and when that stability returns, your discernment becomes sharper. Chosen one. This is where authority begins to express itself naturally. Not through force, not through loud declarations, but through clarity. You begin to sense alignment without overthinking every detail. You recognize when something belongs in your life and when it does not. There is something important you must remember as this clarity grows. You do not owe access to everyone who benefited from your former version. You do not owe explanations to people who did not protect you when they had the chance. And you do not owe proximity to those who only valued you when you were convenient. Freedom does not mean cutting people off with anger. True freedom simply means you are no longer pulled toward what does not honor your growth. You are allowed to move forward quietly. You are allowed to choose differently. You are allowed to build the next chapter of your life without announcing every step to the people who misunderstood your last one. Chosen. One restoration is not meant to be consumed all at once. It is meant to be stewarded carefully. This is why patience is returning to your spirit in a new way. Not forced patience that comes from fear, but natural patience that comes from trust. Fear always rushes. It pushes you to act before thinking, to grab opportunities before they disappear. But trust waits. Trust understands that what belongs to you cannot bypass you. You may also notice something shifting in your relationship with time itself. The pressure to catch up with others is fading. The obsession with timelines is weakening. You are no longer measuring your worth by how quickly things happen. Instead, you are learning to measure alignment by peace. Peace has become the confirmation you follow, and that peace is guiding you toward the final stage of what heaven is establishing in your life now. Chosen one. As this season of restoration continues to unfold, you may begin to notice something else taking shape inside you. It is a deep stillness, a kind of quiet strength that was not present before the storm. Not the silence of waiting, but the silence of order. Chaos demands constant attention. Order creates space, and in that space, something remarkable begins to return to you. Creativity begins to awaken again. For a long time, survival mode dominated your life. When someone is constantly bracing for the next loss, the mind becomes occupied with defense. Every decision feels urgent. Every opportunity feels fragile. But survival mode blocks imagination. It narrows vision. It trains the mind to focus only on immediate threats rather than long-term purpose. Now that safety is returning to your spirit, that pressure is beginning to release. And as it releases, new ideas begin to surface. Solutions appear without the same tension they once carried. Inspiration arrives quietly, sometimes in the middle of ordinary moments. A thought, a direction, a possibility that feels strangely natural, as if it had been waiting patiently for the right time to appear. Chosen one. This is one of the clearest signs that restoration is real. When the atmosphere around your life changes, creativity follows. You may also notice something surprising happening in your relationships. People may begin asking for your perspective. They may want to understand how you stayed steady during seasons that would have broken many others. But the power of your story does not come from dramatic explanations. It comes from the way you carry yourself now. Your presence will speak before your words do. There is authority in calmness. There is influence in consistency. When people observe someone who has endured loss without becoming bitter, who has walked through injustice without abandoning integrity, they begin to sense that something deeper is guiding that life. Chosen one. The truth is that not everyone who hurt you fully understood the weight of what they were doing. That doesn't excuse their actions, but it releases you from carrying resentment that no longer serves your future. Resentment is heavy, and the road ahead of you requires freedom from unnecessary weight. You're moving too far forward to carry the burdens of the past. As you continue walking into this next chapter, you may find your definition of success changing. In earlier seasons, success may have meant proving something to others, demonstrating that you could overcome what was said about you or what was taken from you. But now, success begins to look different. Success becomes sustainability. Success becomes peace. Success becomes alignment between who you are and what you build. Ambition alone can push a person far, but alignment pulls them toward the right places. And that pull is something you're beginning to feel more clearly now. It may show up as a quiet restlessness that draws you toward new environments, new collaborations, or new ideas that better reflect the person you have become. This is not confusion, it is direction. Chosen one. You are being drawn toward spaces that can support your growth rather than compete with it. That may require leaving certain routines or relationships behind, not with anger, but with clarity. When alignment shifts, explanations are not always necessary. Sometimes the most powerful movement is simply walking forward. And as you do, gratitude may begin to rise within you in unexpected ways. Not gratitude for the pain itself, but gratitude for the strength it produced. Gratitude for the wisdom that emerged from seasons that once felt wasted. Because now you can see what those years were really doing. They were refining you. They were strengthening your discernment. They were preparing you to carry what heaven is now releasing into your life. Chosen one, you are not walking into this future alone. You are walking with earned wisdom, sharpened discernment, and a faith that has been tested by real experience. That combination is rare, and it is powerful. This is why what you build in this next season will last. Take a moment and breathe. Notice the steadiness that now exists within you. Notice the absence of urgency that once controlled your decisions. Notice the quiet confidence that is forming in your spirit. That steadiness is not temporary. It is the evidence that restoration is no longer just a promise ahead of you. It is a reality you are already living inside. Chosen one, take a slow breath and allow your spirit to rest for a moment. Something has shifted, and deep within you, you can feel it. That quiet steadiness you sense is not imagination. It is alignment. The season of silent preparation has fulfilled its purpose, and what remains now is manifestation. Anointed one, you are standing in your Kairos moment, the divinely appointed intersection where heaven's timing meets your life on earth. What once felt delayed is beginning to move. What was hidden is being brought into the light, and what was withheld is now being reassigned to you with precision and purpose. Walk forward gently in this season. Do not rush what heaven is unfolding. Stay faithful. Stay humble. Let gratitude guide your steps as the path ahead becomes clearer day by day. The same God who saw your endurance has already gone before you to prepare what comes next. If this message has touched your spirit, write Amen or 777 in the comments as a simple act of agreement with what heaven is doing in your life. And if you feel led, share the place you are watching from, because divine order does not remain abstract. It manifests where you stand. You may also choose to subscribe so you do not miss the next message meant for your journey. And if your heart desires to support this mission, even a small offering helps continue sharing these words of faith and encouragement. Go in peace, chosen one. The reversal has begun. The blessing is already moving, and what comes next will confirm what your spirit has known all along.